Welcome back, everybody, to episode 183 of the Lookout Podcast. I am, of course, Meelz. I am here with LJ himself. LJ, what is up?
Nothing much. Fall weather is officially here, and I'm so happy.
We are still on the cusp of, between summer. It's still very, very nice outside. Maybe this is fall weather. What is typically fall weather? What are the degrees range? That's a good...
I think as soon as you start clipping low 70s, mid 60s, you're entering fall territory. I think the sweet range is at mid 60s to high 50s. That's the sweet,
So apparently from state to state, there's fall temperatures that average from every state. So the average temperature in fall for New York is 48 degrees. So we're very far away from that, actually, because it still averages about 70 degrees for now. For Minnesota, it's 43 degrees, which is interesting.
I mean, of course, they're going to be lower. That's all I know.
But it's barely lower. Is what I'm saying. It's barely lower.
No, Minnesota, we're you ever deal with somebody where usually their temperament is pretty fine, but at an instant they can just they can just have this random pop off moment where you're like, what the hell?
Of course.
So that's kind of how Minnesota winters are. Where it's things will be fine.
Right.
we go through the regular motions that everybody else in this country is going for.
Right.
But then it's just at an instant, it's welcome to hell. It's welcome. It's literally overnight. It'll just be you know what? You've been having this great fall. It's been 40 degrees. Yeah. Now tomorrow is going to be 5 degrees. And you're just wait, what? What are we talking about here? And then it's
that's kind of weird. It's but it's still
it's no gradual. It's it's not very gradual. It will legit turn in an instant where it's just we've been having oh, now on Tuesday you guys are gonna be 20-degree weather. Then it's 20 degrees for a couple of days. Oh, now we're gonna be in the negatives. And you're just wait, how do we go from 20 to the negatives? What the hell?
Shout out to us talking about the weather like we don't know each other.
I know, right?
With that said, we got a lot of things going on. I want to do a little healthy reminder for everybody. I want to give a reminder next week. We'll be talking about Dragon Ball Daima and probably what everyone's first thoughts of Sparking Zero is, since that game is coming out pretty much over the weekend. Everyone's super excited for it, which is awesome. I don't know if anyone's been this excited for a Dragon Ball game like this in a long, long time. The trailers have been amazing. The promotion has been amazing. The branding has been amazing.
They got that look on WWE. Who would have thought?
Right? But here we are. This is the evolution of two different type of. It's all about brands from here on out.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna be covering that next week, and then in 2 weeks. Well, no, in 3 weeks rather. We'll be starting our recap of Death Note, which I'm going to find very, very interesting. It's a series we've never covered before. Well, I say we've never covered. We've never covered it before, but we've never covered a series like this long form before.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested in seeing how this is going to turn out. It was just recently I think it was the 20-something anniversary of Death Note from when it came out. So that's interesting. They're kind of we're calling out full circle. Fall anime is in full swing
for sure. A lot of drops.
What is this one that comes on Toonami that everyone's watching?
Oh, the Uzumaki one.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
It is it's a horror manga from Junji Ito, and yeah, it's a very popular horror manga that has now been adapted into an anime. And really right now, everyone, the first episode was really good.
That's what I heard.
First episode was really good. Second episode, there is crazy drop off
in animation,
which is funny because I know that people are upset about it right now, but people were upset about the same thing for Kaiju number 8 this year too.
Were they? I don't think.
Okay, I don't think it was. I don't think it was on the scale of this was because it's been the animation was pretty bad throughout the whole episode. I think people are kind of hyper focusing on one moment, but there was that episode, I think it was 2 of Kaiju number 8. Remember how they everyone kept screenshot how they were drawing old girl's face, like her eyes were so like shifted
far apart.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, they were horrible. Like it was really bad.
Damn, I guess I didn't fucking pay attention to it. Shit like that, I'm not as if it looks. But then again, like some shit is like super noticeable for me, right? Like for MHA, no one has had complaints this year about animation at all because it's you can't at this point. It is too. I've been like. It's tough being in a group chat where no one has watched it because they're just waiting for it to end so that they can binge it. But no, it's gotten no marks for that. But I didn't even know what was happening with Kaiju number 8. But from what I saw with this,
and I just remember once again that was the only episode people really complained on. I didn't really see any other complaints about that after. But it was like it was specifically like really that. And so, I mean, I think there's a couple other things pointed out, but I don't know.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. Actually, people have actually complained about MHA because,
for sure.
But his face, Shigaraki's face, will look like this, and he looks like this, and I'm like, it's not really that. Like, you're taking like a second frame. Like, honestly, it's not even. It's barely like 1% of the episode that you're trying to comment on the animation.
And also, too, I think the animation conversations that. Now, obviously, yes. And if it's bad, it's bad. You want to point it out. Hey, there's a drop, and I think that there is some bad like animation out there for sure. My issue is
this Uzumaki one really, really, really bad? Like the drop off. Like, is it super bad? Like, do you feel like you were sold? I don't want to say. I don't want. Do you feel like you were sold something, and then it's like this isn't what this isn't what that was?
I don't want to say it's super, super bad. Like, once again, it's so early. Like, obviously, you know, okay, cool. They had a slip up on the episode. They had a bad episode, some moments. Okay, like, let's see how the rest of it looks. You know, like, that's kind of in my idea. Like, once again, even Dragon Ball Z and all these other mangas that we praise so much having great, they have episodes where you're just like, dang, this kind of looks like shit.
I give Dragon Ball Z space for having bad animation issues because there are so many episodes that they are dropping on a weekly basis. So I can deal with them having some very poorly drawn episodes from time to time.
Yeah.
Now, Super was out of control.
No, Super. That's also what I meant. Let me not like Super. Yes, like Super. There was
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, but you don't also, you know. You don't see people being hung up on that the entire time.
People were hung up on it. People were super hung up on it. I'm not even gonna lie. People were super hung up on the fact that Dragon Ball Super, and a lot of it, all the way up until the Tournament of Power, looked incredibly shitty. like just moments where it was just like doodles. It was like, I've never seen Goku like this before.
You know what? And I guess, yeah, you may have been more part of that conversation than me during that time. Because, God, how long ago was that? That was 20.
Well, I wasn't. I started Super when the Tournament of Power was starting. So I wasn't actually actively part of those conversations, but I do remember, going through like random videos on YouTube and all these other things about just the complaints about it. Like I listened to a Totally Not Mark video, which the sidebar, Totally Not Mark, I'm really upset with him. Like super, super fucking upset. I don't know if you know the reason why, but it's a pretty embarrassing reason.
No, I don't.
So the reason is he started recapping My Hero Academia under the pretense of like, I've seen the first 3 seasons. I've never seen the other ones. So we're going to recap this week by week because it's ending. And I'm like, yes, finally. Now, the first 3 recaps I didn't really enjoy anyway. I didn't feel like he really captured the essence of the series, but that's me being a stickler for it. Because I feel like there's so many things that he just like missed. But then he just didn't continue it, right? So he just stopped at season 3, literally where he stopped when he first stopped watching it. And the reason was, and this is the embarrassing reason, the My Hero episodes weren't getting enough views. So it was like, in order to continue like paying my staff, we have to make videos that people will actually watch. And I was just like, damn, that's kind of sad. Because I don't think My Hero is like that bad where it turns off people, but I guess people just was like, you're covering My Hero, ill.
My Hero's now the anime that people love to hate. Like, not to say it like this, but, and I'm a part of the same group. It's like Naruto. I don't like Naruto like that. I rag on it. Obviously, there's some moments and things like that I enjoy, but like overall, I really don't care for it.
Right.
Now, but is it as bad as I make it seem? No. I just love to hate it though. And that's the same way for MHA. That is now the current thing that people love to hate. MHA is not nearly as bad as people make it seem. And it's not nearly all these things. Like, it was going into the point I was going to make earlier, is that MHA gets flack on the animation, but it's always people like, see, it doesn't look exactly like how it was drawn in the manga. It's just like,
but that's because Horikoshi is an incredibly good artist.
You know, like, first of all, like, you're never gonna, like, unless the actual artist of this manga is drawing it, you're not gonna fully capture everything. And also, too, it just be like, so, like, it's like, oh, it doesn't look exactly like how it looks in a manga. That means it's bad. It's just like, no, it still looks good. It's just not, you know, like, this is fucking Horikoshi. We're not talking about some damn second-rate artist. You know, we're talking about a guy who is immensely talented. Like, when it comes to, you know, his artwork.
He's legit.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's not like this is bad. It's just like you're comparing it to a goddamn master. Like, you know, and, you know, no disrespect to the other artists or like animators, but it's just like, it's two different things. It's like, this doesn't look bad. This just doesn't look how you want it to look, and that's okay.
Right.
But like,
he's dropped new artwork every week since the series since he stopped the stopped the manga. So he's dropped every week. He has dropped new artwork for whatever episode that just aired, and all of them have been amazing. Like, legit, he colors them in.
He legit just wants to draw. He's just like, I'm tired of writing a story. He was like, can I just draw these characters? He's like, man, he goes, every single one's been fire.
It's crazy.
I think
it's nuts.
I promise to God, I'm gonna watch the rest of My Hero. I just want to see this full ending in like one shot.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not ending, but
I know where this season's not gonna go all the way to the end. So I'm for sure.
Yeah.
Next season for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, listen, season 8's the final one. You guys are wrapping it up.
Let's see what else we got here. So, last week. Go ahead.
Side note. So, you remember that time where you're running, and you're running you're running for your own enjoyment, but you kept running into running groups.
Yes.
It was like that great stretch where you're like, bro, I'm ran into another, like, or I accidentally just joined a running group. Like,
I've not joined any of them.
Yeah, you haven't like accident, but like you're like, we're going the same path, or you know, like it was all these things. So
I've ran and ended up in like a marathon.
Yeah, you know, like
so against my will.
That is exactly, and this definitely segues into what we're going to be talking about today. But I accidentally did the same thing in anime watching form. So obviously, I told you I'm giving Blue Lock I gave it a third chance. And I did not know that it was season 2 was starting on October 5th. And so I finished the season yesterday, and I was like, oh, season 2 already? I was like, wow. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, it dropped today. So I finished the season 1 and the day that season 2 dropped. And I was like, oh, I wasn't even attempting to do that, but here we are.
Well, are you going to continue it?
Yeah, I am.
How have you received this first season? I still abhor it so much, like the first number of episodes. But how are
I
you?
I think that season 1, the issues that I went in the first 2 times I watched it was that I was wanting a sports anime.
Right.
You know, I wanted a sports
Blue
anime.
Lock it definitely is a sports anime though, right?
I mean, it is, but like I wanted that like real slice of life kind of sports anime, and this is like this is a shonen sports anime. Like this,
nah, I haven't. Yeah, nah.
It's like it really is that. It's like battle scenes and tournament arcs with, instead of them fighting, they're just playing soccer, kind of that feel. Not like this is not like this is like anime about a soccer team and soccer players, and they're going to school and they're having a life and they're doing this, and it's like they have like, no, it doesn't have that feel to it. It's like, what is this power level? Oh, he has great dribbling. How is he going to evolve? Are we going to evolve together? What is my ego? Like, it's that.
Yeah, nah, I'm very like, the reason why I hate it is because of how accentuated all of the shonen tropes are. And it gets on my nerves quite a bit, actually. When I watch the first
really bad, and it's really bad in the beginning. It's really, really bad. Now it does die down a bit. Once they're done with the first stage, I'll say, once you kind of get through the part where they're introducing kind of characters and trying to establish like what this is about and what's this all, once you kind of get past that and now the kind of story is rolling a bit, it tapers off. Now, not by a lot, obviously, but you get kind of more into like, okay, like here's some soccer schemes, like here's some other things, like, it kind of gets more into the actual, I feel, game of soccer. But once again, it's still very, it's still very shonen. I'm not gonna say that it ever breaks out of that and will never break out of that shell, but like where you're ending at in the first season, essentially they start off with 300 players. They go through kind of this team play thing where players are getting eliminated. They kind of go through another similar system where it's like, all right, you're doing 3-on-3 against players, and if you beat them, you get to take one of their players, and then you go down to 2-on-2. Then you'll play a 2-on-2 team, and then if one of y'all get picked, the other one gets eliminated. So they kind of go through this little rigmarole, and it's like, you play until you build a team of 5, and then once you build a team of 5, you move on to the next round. And then you get down to like this 300 to 35 players, and so you got this Blue Lock system, and the season ends where he goes, okay, out of you 35, we're gonna build an actual team of 11, and we're gonna play the U20 national team, and then like whoever wins that match between them will be like the 11 that actually represents Japan in the national or the like international games, which cool, or the U20 World Cup. There you go. So I'm like, okay, cool, like you got some stakes now, like some real, like obviously there's some stakes in the beginning because it's like we're only gonna choose one of you, but like it's kind of like some bigger stakes, so you're kind of like, okay, cool, like you actually get to build a team of 11 and this and that, so it's like, all right. But yeah, once I accepted it as face value, I was like, okay, like it's cool, I can continue to watch this. Like, it's not fully itching the scratch that I feel Blue Box is gonna like scratch, but it's good for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it might take me a while before I decide, let me give this a second chance, because it just irked me so much. With that said,
I think you're in a different boat. The first, like, the first real sports anime you watched was Haikyuu, right? Yeah, and
but
see, you watched something amazing. And like, I feel that Haikyuu is like a great sports anime.
So like, Blue Lock isn't amazing?
Blue Lock isn't amazing. Not even close.
It's not? Okay, all right. Well, no, as long as I know.
No, it's not. Yeah, Blue Lock's not amazing to me, at least.
No. Okay. Well,
it's good.
Well, good to know.
It's you know, like, I don't want to always eat a bowl of ramen noodles, but I'd eat a bowl of ramen. You know, like instant ramen. Like, I don't want to always eat instant ramen, but instant ramen will get the job done if I needed to.
No, for sure.
That's Blue Lock.
Sure. Last week we talked about Jujutsu Kaisen manga's ending. Got a lot of thoughts on it, even from people, even unsolicited thoughts. Is there anything that has changed for what you think, how it ended? Any just real quick thoughts before we officially move on until whenever the anime comes back?
I will take this time to accept defeat in my argument. I fought a very...
Why?
Because it's not like there was like a win or lose thing. Listen, I still enjoy JJK. I still think it's like amazing. Listen, it ranks, after much thought, it ranks within my top 12.
Okay.
It ranks within my top 12, aka it probably hits like 11 or 10. But I think a lot of the points you made, and in Akutami shot himself in the foot and shot my whole argument down this week with his recent comments and recent reveals about the manga and certain characters and certain things. But no, it just kind of made me think of just like, okay, is there a difference between something being a good story and someone being a good storyteller?
Right. Like, enjoyable.
Yeah. You know, I think that sometimes there are just stories where you're just like, this is a good story. Like, the person telling the story may not be doing the best job telling the story, but it's just like, overall, you're like, the story that they're telling, though, is like, it's enjoyable, it's good, I actually like it.
Right.
You know, I can, you know, there's some confusing parts, definitely, but like, I am really enjoying this story. And I think there is a difference between someone who is a storyteller and a good storyteller, where it's like, I feel they can take any story, anything, and they will make you enjoy it. I think it just kind of comes down to the skill of the writer and the author, and Akutami definitely has some growing points, but I think overall, once again, what JJK has done, when I look at the total picture, when I look at the moments and the moments that stick, and like the overall, like, you know, the overall outreach of it, you know, I gotta say that it can, at the end, you can hold your head, like, he can hold his head held high. Like, you created something that is pretty, that will be pretty, it will be talked about for a long time. And when you talk about this current era of anime, like, Jujutsu Kaisen will be one of the ones that you mentioned, you know, like, that really defines a certain era. So yeah, I mean, I think that's just my final thoughts about it. You know, love who you want to love, enjoy what you want to enjoy.
Oh my god. Well, okay, fair enough. I don't have any different thoughts on it.
I fought tooth and nail, bro.
I don't have any additional thoughts. I legitimately think everything the same. I don't. I have no additional thoughts at all. With that said, let's get into what we're going to talk about this week, which is we have a double feature this week. We're going to be talking about the premieres of Dandadan and also the premiere of Blue Lock.
Blue Box, not Blue Lock.
Oh shit!
I know. I done fucked it all up. My bad.
Blue Box for sure. Yeah, we're definitely talking about the premiere of Blue Box. Both kind of like both. Both I watch on Netflix, which is definitely not how it typically goes for when you talk about fall anime and major fall anime premieres. Usually they premiere on Crunchyroll, but now
we tell y'all from the Anime NYC, Netflix is a real player now.
Yeah, no, Netflix is both of these things I watch on Netflix and thoroughly enjoyed them. And like, obviously Netflix has better UI than Crunchyroll. That goes without saying, but just the mere fact that it's there. I mean, it's on Crunchyroll too. Dandadan is on Crunchyroll. But it is not, if I can watch it on Netflix, I'm watching it on Netflix first. That's for sure. With that said, Dandadan, man, let's talk about this series a little bit. It's an interesting premise. Legitimately, this is the first time I've ever seen, heard, indulge in any of the actual media surrounding Dandadan. I don't know what happens. I don't know what's coming up. I didn't know these characters. If Anime NYC had let us watch the premiere, that would have been the first time I watched it. But since they didn't, I was like, all right, I'll just wait till it actually premieres. What can you say about this series that is that makes it interesting without giving any spoilers?
Whatever you think this series is about, you're completely fucking wrong, and just strap in and enjoy the goddamn ride. Because if you think this first episode is nutso and you're kind of just like, just goddamn wait.
This episode.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good opening episode. Now, I don't know about it. When you think about the great first episodes of anime, there's that meme that goes on. I don't know if you've ever seen this meme because you don't indulge on TikTok that much. It's like when you're watching an anime for the first time and it hooks you, and then like the audio will be like, my brother had died and I had to save him. Like, and you're just like, oh shit, we tapped in. This one, it gave me, can I tell you honestly what it gave me, this premiere gave me? Besides the lewdness, up to the point where shit got went left and people were trying to take each other to ding dongs and trying to make people was that it was giving very it was giving very Disney original kind of like, I'm the nerd, and then this girl is here to protect me, but she's kind of mean. But she's the only one who has ever accepted me because no one has ever accepted me, and blah blah blah. It gave very Disney original, show, not even movie, show.
There's definitely shot in front of a live studio audience kind of feel. Got the studio laughs coming in.
It was calm. So this has been done by which the studio that does this? Science Saru, who, let me look at what they have done before. They have done, let me see if there's anything that I've seen that they've done before. I've not seen Space Dandy, but they've done that.
Oh, I love Space Dandy.
Devilman Crybaby, they've done that. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, so they've done that. So I saw that last year. So they've definitely, the animation is
you can tell. I was gonna say it has the same feel to it.
Absolutely. I think one of the underrated,
which is like my favorite part.
Yeah, no, the underrated part about this series to me is the colors. Like, that's really the underrated part about it, because I think the colors are really, really vibrant and really noticeable and play a lot within how you depict so much in the series. It actually kind of reminds me more so of the Spider-Man movies, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. With
the way they deal with colors, not necessarily like the animation and art, because Spider-Verse is on another fucking level, and has on another fucking budget. But the way they use colors to kind of really tell the story and kind of like portray things is something that I noticed, because a lot of anime now, especially when you get to the serious anime, you look at a little bit of the Demon Slayer, you look at even like My Hero, you look at a couple other things besides maybe One Piece. I think the colors are roughly muted because they're meant to portray a little bit more of a serious tone to it. Whereas this is clearly like a playful tone off bat, and especially the kind of like wizardry of what they do with the animation itself. Like, they really take it there with kind of like how it looks, it's just really, really different artistic interpretation of what this is thus far. I legit don't know how the manga looks like, but this is good.
Yeah, no, it looks great. And like I said, it's my favorite part about it. I think you're right, and I thank you for saying that, because this whole time I'm like, why can I not like put I can explain like why I love the art so much, but I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think the colors of it, they pop so much, it brings out that like this is going to be something fun, this is going to be something off the wall, this is going to be something, you know, like this is not something that you need to be taking serious.
Yeah,
it just
fun.
adds an overall like you said, funness to it. Like you're kind of okay, like you're able to just lean in more into the shenanigans that comes later because they've already created this tone of and this feel of like, you know, this is about to be some, you know, you're strapping for a good time.
Yeah, no, the animation is kind of like take it off to a new level, and I think that's what been drawing everybody. And I think also the promotion of this has been taking this to kind of like a new level, because the way they have been actively telling people get your ass out that chair and watch the show, I don't think Netflix would have involved themselves in it if the people didn't. But also it makes me wonder, like, and I'm gonna ask the same thing about Blue Box, like, why Dandadan as a series? Like, what makes it such a interesting series where these big names like Netflix wants to like invest their time into like the full premiere of this? Like, what is it about Dandadan?
I think once again it is the fact that it stands out in terms of story. Like, here's this fun story, and like I said, it's really hard to even sometimes explain what the hell it's about. You just kind of got to read it to understand it. And not to say like it's just complicated storyline, but it's just so many things that happens off the wall. Even getting like in the first, like you're learning about spirits and curses. But there's also aliens that are coming down. And it's like all this shenanigans that is happening, but
it's a no.
It's all this
shenanigans.
It's like it's just it feels so much different than everything else. And like it definitely gets lewd, and there's definitely some things in there like where you're kind of just like it teeters the, you know, it's edgy. It feels edgy with some of the things that it does, but it doesn't do it in a way that kind of is like it like turns you off. Like there's like a real sense of humor. There's a sense of playfulness to it that I feel right now is really missing. I think that's what's kind of been what's made it so popular, is like it's this feel good story that just draws you in because you're just like, what type of shenanigans they're about to get into next? What type of weird random thing is about to happen next? You know, it's this fun, playful story where I think a lot of what we've been getting now is once something so different feels as like refresh and renewing as Dandadan feels. And I think also to it, this is the same thing with Blue Box. Like what's really running right now that is in the same realm as Blue Box in terms of story, in terms of, you know, like content.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm saying that I think I think that's the reason why Netflix goes after both of these. These two things are really set you apart. This is way different than them investing into another like battle shonen.
No, absolutely.
Or another like, exorcist shonen. Or you know what I'm saying? Like this right here gives you something where it's like, okay, these are two things that are immensely popular right now. That's completely different than everything else that is going on, and everything else. Like Disney was clamoring for Bleach. You know, they you know, okay, they're going after Bleach. You know, they're going after Jujutsu Kaisen when it was up. You know, so obviously all these other competitors are going after these. Like, let's go a little bit left field with it. Then I think Adult Swim is doing the same thing, to go back to the Uzumaki thing. But they're kind of just missing the mark. Sorry, I ain't mean to be so long-winded about this, but it's like you kind of start to understand of like, okay, why certain places are going after certain things. But I think for Netflix, this is just good because it takes you, you know, it makes you like see like, okay, we're not just going after what the norm is. And I think a lot of the things that they've been pulling in hasn't been that. And I think this just really fits the mold that Netflix is trying to create right now, where they're like, no, we'll go a little bit more left field with things.
Right. Let's talk about the characters in this thus far. Because we're introduced to the first character, Momo Ayase, legitimately because she's having a fight with her boyfriend and he kicks her ass, which is nuts. Like, again, I was just like, yo, bro, this is only anime can get away with this, because realistically, like, this should this isn't like something that typically happens, but it happens so frequently in anime that I guess people are just kind of like cool with it. But her first boyfriend, he wants her to put out, and she's like, nah. And then they have a whole fight where she tries to roundhouse kick him, and then he kicks her ass, and then they essentially break up from there, and then ends the series because she is going after a guy that wants to be like Ken Takakura or something along those lines. I have no idea who that is, and I don't even think he's introduced in this first episode, if he is going to be introduced. But then we come across a what's his name? The little nerdy boy.
He calls him Otaku.
Right. Whose name is actually Ten Kakakura. Which is ironic. And she saves him from being bullied. And he takes that as like, yo, I know you're really into me. You have to be into me because no one else has done this at all. So clearly you're in love with me. And she's like, nah, chill. Like, relax. Like, not even. And plays her down pretty hard. And then the crux of this series kind of like, or at least the crux of this episode comes out where he says, cool. no one has really liked me because I'm super into aliens. And she's like, I don't believe in aliens, but I know ghosts exist. He's like, well, I don't believe in ghosts, but I know aliens exist. So they challenge one another to go to this place to either see a ghost or see an alien.
Also, shout out. So Kaya watched this first part with me. And shout out to the friend because she was like, why is she dark skinned with so much makeup on?
Yeah, that was kind of, I mean, but I don't question stuff because it's anime, right?
Yeah, you know, it was just funny that I wasn't even paying attention to that and she just pointed it out and I was just like, oh, wow. I was just like,
I don't even question that kind of stuff because it's just anime at this point. Well, absolutely. Yes. With that said, she goes to the abandoned hospital and he goes into where does he go? Like somewhere else where he meets a turbo granny spirit who wants to take his ding-dong. And of course, Momo goes into the hospital where these aliens want to take her other things. And it gets in this real interesting circumstance. Eventually, the two meet up. And then Momo Ayase really unlocks her super psychokinetic powers, which allow her to defeat the aliens and then also release the spirit that's been living inside of Okuron. And
because Turbo Granny took him over, and I think like it was a cool moment right there. Once again, going back to the animation where it's like Turbo Granny's chasing him, and she's like, "No, don't run." He's like, "Nah, fuck that, I'm out." And he gets to running, but like the entrance to the tunnel like gets further, and it turns all red. Like I think that whole moment was so tight.
This is very like. I don't know. I thought it was a very interesting concept for the first episode. It makes me like, I'll say this. The first episode made me want to see, all right, what's going to happen the next episode? But it wasn't one that was like, wow, like to me. But also the reason why I'm tuning in is because all of you guys keep telling me that it's what I think it is. It's not what it is and all this other shit like that.
I think that, and you're going to continue to feel that throughout the entire series. And I don't think like this first episode was something like completely masterful, but I think it's, once again, it's so off the wall that you're kind of like, once again, you're like, how does this, where do we go from here? You know, like this is where we start off at episode 1. Like, what is episode 2 gonna look like? And then at the end of episode 2, you're gonna be like, this is where we went next. Like, where's episode 3? And not in a bad way where you're kind of just like, this story makes no sense. But I think it's just, there's things happening. It doesn't, there are things, so many off the wall things happening where you're kind of just like, I have to see how this ends. Like, how are they going to figure this out? Like, even in this episode where Okuron, Turbo Granny, like, you know, doesn't possess him, but they have to go back because he got it schlong, and he's like, oh dang, I gotta go get my piece back. And so it's kind of like, you know, like it's kind of like, oh, so they're about to go get his shit back. Like, how are they gonna do that? So, like I said, I think there's just it's just a lot of foolishness that happens, but in a way where you're kind of like, okay. And as the series goes on, you start seeing the connecting points and the other adventures that they go on. There's other characters that get, you know, and I think the relationship between these two is like a huge driving force as you see them connect more and grow together. So, outside of the ridiculousness of it, there is some great like relationship buildings like between characters. There is you know, story wise, you know, it gets expansive, the world gets pretty expansive, so you're like, okay, you know, like I said, you want to watch more. There's like you're like, why am I still watching this? Like, it's like eating something really spicy where you're just like, I shouldn't eat this next wing, but it's just like, I gotta eat this next wing. Like,
yeah,
you know, like it's that feeling.
This to me, I don't know what to think of this kind of like real first episode, but it looks very, very it's intriguing the way it's been promoted. Obviously, this is one of the biggest premieres of the year. So I'll definitely continue to keep like checking it every Thursday when it comes out. Speaking of every Thursday about when it comes out, we also have Blue Box, which is something that we've championed for quite a long time, especially if you listen to the Big Eyes podcast, but then also if you listen to the Lookout and stuff afterwards. So Blue Box is essentially Love and Basketball, but in an anime thing. But it's not, they both don't play basketball because the main character plays badminton and the girl plays basketball. But it is a romantic sports anime mixture hybrid that really it's all about the romance, but I think it's under with the background of like sports into it because of how focused it is around like academics and like all this stuff like that. But this episode, it really has it has a nice animation of all the other like pretty fucking romantic anime that you see ever. Everyone's eyes are super twinkly, everyone's hair is super perfect, everyone's cheekbones are super defined. But I was questioning more so about like, I didn't know, and I kind of got to look at the stats. I got to look at the stats. I didn't know Blue Box at all was going to be like an exclusive Netflix anime. And I'm trying to figure out, is it because they need those titles and this is like a strong title, or is there like something more they're truly expecting from this series? Because while it is good, and don't get me wrong, it's good. To me, when I think of like Netflix and how they've operated over the last number of years, they typically take titles that already have a fan base on it. Like what they've done with One Piece, where they've said like, we're going to be the One Piece app. Like you can watch One Piece on Crunchyroll, but you can watch One Piece on Netflix and catch up and live action and the movies and everything else. So it's interesting they took this like chance on a brand new manga. Now I'm gonna look at like, what are the sales of this? What are the sales of Blue Box? It's modest. It's not even, but it's good. Like I guess it's been critically acclaimed, but the sales are just modest itself. Not that I'm shitting on Blue Box because I love Blue Box. It's just I even love this first episode, but it definitely was in my head of like, okay, all right, they did this. What are your thoughts on everything Blue Box and heading into this premiere?
Well, like I said, I'm the same with you. I really enjoyed it. I'm really excited about it. I kind of have the same question of, as amazing as we know it is, and you know, the rest of the Lookout that has read this and have indulged with this, and is it strong enough though to be like, I gotta go to, like, I will get Netflix to watch this. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't know how big the star power is for it. Now,
because typically, it's pretty. I don't know if anyone will go out there to get Netflix, but I'm assuming it's like if you watch Netflix and you're interested in something, then watch this.
No, I for sure think it's that good. I was just thinking of like how many anime watchers are gonna be like, damn, like I'm gonna go out, and most of them probably already have Netflix. But once again, like, what's the star power? What's it gonna draw? I think people like are going to want to watch it.
What are your thoughts on the first? I've not reread Blue Box at all. I know where we're at. I don't know. I forget moments of how we got here. I remember the big beats, the big points in this story, and it reads very well as a manga because at the end of every chapter, it's some hook, and even at the end of this episode, it's like a hook, right? What did you take away from this like first episode? Because the one thing I took away from this first episode was like, I guess, the theme of admiration. Because there's one part of it where I feel like the main character, Taiki, who's in love with Chinatsu, Chinatsu is like this all-star. Like, by the way, what kind of like basketball player do you think Chinatsu is? Like, if you had to compare her to a WNBA player, like, what do you think she is?
I don't know, but I did not like the way they gave her shooting form. I was like, why is she shooting with two hands? I was like, I was like, she as good as y'all say she is? I don't know.
I was like, why is her arm so short? Like I was like, she got no wingspan at all to be doing all this like shit that she's so acclaimed to be doing. I was like, her arms are dumb short. Like, she was doing the thing with the basketball after she beat Taiki in the basketball game.
Yeah.
And I was like, your arms are kind of short, but it is what it is.
I don't know. Listen, is she a basketball player or is she a hooper? You know? That's what we got.
She's not even. I don't even think she's taller than Taiki, which makes me wonder, like, what position does she play?
She's a point for sure.
Yeah, oh my god. Well, she's got to be like one of the. She's like a fucking. I don't even know, Sabrina.
Nah, she ain't no Sabrina. She is not. Sabrina? She ain't no Sabrina, brother.
The way she's acclaimed at the school is like, god damn, that's the Chinatsu. You know, kind of damn. She's been hooping for years. You know what I'm saying? She's a star player of the girls' basketball team. She's one grade above Taiki, which is crazy. Shout out to him. And this is what I'm reading from her bio. The main female protagonist. She is the star of the girls' basketball team. She is one grade above Taiki and is often the first person at practice. She was once a terrible basketball player, but her dedication has helped her grow her into a strong player who hopes to make nationals. And of course, the last part is she moves in with Taiki's family while her parents leave to work abroad, and her and Taiki slowly become friends, supporting each other. Can I talk about just how weird the end of this episode was? Just from a standpoint of like, I couldn't see it happening ever in my life. But this is the hook that anime is supposed to have. Like, this is the thing that's supposed to draw you in, right? Their parents are like former teammates in passing, it seems, right?
Yeah.
We once played on the girls' basketball team. Like, however long we played on the girl basketball team, the ages are not defined. How long they were in high school weren't defined. All the other shit like that. And then suddenly at the end of the episode, because it's mentioned throughout the episode, like, yeah, I used to be on the team with her. Like, we were, she was a good player, but she wasn't like lit. But her child seems to be like a great player, which is crazy. And then by the end of the episode, it was like, and she's staying with us for the entire time.
I mean, when she was telling them originally, she was like, yeah, we still keep up with each other here and there. So she does at least acknowledge the fact that they still speak.
I mean, yeah,
Now, I would definitely understand this more if it was just like, oh yeah, like, that's my homegirl. Like, like, that's like my best friend. Of course her daughter can stay over here. Type thing. But
that's not what this is, though.
No, it's not. I think it adds a bit of like, because obviously it's based on the kids, so there has to be a level of separation between them where it's not like, oh yeah, I grew up with her and like I've known her my whole life. It's kind of like more so just like, oh, like here's.
Are you taking in? You have former teammates from when you played baseball.
Yes.
Would you take in their kids? Because you've known them in passing and you maybe keep up every once in a while, and they had to go to a different country and their kid had to stay for the team. Are you taking in their children?
Trying to think, because there's a couple teammates where I wouldn't, but there's a couple teammates where I would. It depends on the teammate. Okay. There's definitely a couple teammates I've had in the past where I'm like, you know, if they reached out to me now, like, oh yeah, you know, for sure. Like,
how long are we talking? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they were just like for the school year.
For the school year, yeah. Let's
sure.
go from. He was like, this is her last year, last semester. Take her in. We got extra room. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I do it.
Okay, all right. Well, whatever. Maybe because I'm in my brain. I'm like, what? This don't even sound. We not even friends like that. Like we played. I mean, you averaged about 9.2 or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't. It wasn't great, but it was good. But
like I have a former teammate he's a music teacher now. And he teaches music where my daughter does piano, and like, you know, I see him frequently now, and like we still talk and catch up when we see each other in passing and go by. Like if he had a kid and was just like, hey man, listen, I gotta go and I gotta live in a different country for an X amount for like a year, you know, can you just like hold my kid down for the school year? I'll send you a little bit of bread here and there for them, you know, go towards the bills for sure.
But I don't know. So
if I know that it doesn't also know like this is a good kid, I'm not taking in no delinquent.
The way she spoke about her mom was like, we were on a team once, and the way Taiki responded was, I had no idea of any of this from my mom. So clearly she hadn't talked about it at all. So not enough to talk about it, even though that they're friends. But she does know that they're transferring overseas. But that could have been just like, I don't know. This is so strange to me. You know, it's given like all these other things, and maybe because of the amount of like grief that he experienced when she told her the news that Shinatsu's family was moving overseas for something, that he didn't process the information that she would be staying with him. But yeah, it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts, in my opinion. But hey,
you know, I like how they do it though, where it's not like, you know, doesn't feel perverted. You know, like Taiki is not like he a cool dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he gonna respect boundaries and stuff. You know, like you could do this storyline. Yeah,
go ahead. No, I was gonna ask you now from Taiki's point of view, like, what's going on in your brain if your crush that you're crushing on, who's a grade older than you, is now staying with you?
The chess pieces are on the board now. Now it's just all about how you play. Now it's all about how you play. Like, at this moment, it's like
I had to mute myself.
Like the chess pieces on the board. Like what more can you ask for? What greater opportunity can you ask for?
It's
like what?
This is the
greatest day of your life.
As the series evolves, or it could be the worst, right? Like you could learn about. There's one thing about knowing about people when you don't have to live with them, but then when you have to live with them for about umpteen hours, you get to learn all the habits. I'm surprised he didn't show up like
you play every card. You play your cards right. Don't get too overzealous. Don't get too whatever.
They learning that you actually start shouting at niggas and yelling slurs on PS5 and shit. Like they're learning about how it's like you know, you like certain things a certain way in the bathroom and all this other shit like that. Like, there's a lot of different situations that could have. You've got to like.
Listen,
Now change a little bit.
He's talking about marrying her. Like this, all this doing is just giving him all the tools he need later in life.
He seems like he seems like a square though. Like he doesn't seem like anything. Like his room doesn't have like mad different like, you know, like what's his name, Yuji Itadori and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I like tall women with a big ass type of vibes.
You know, like. Yeah, you know,
he seems square with it. He's just very like, I'm into badminton. I love athletes. I live in a great house. I have 2 parents and a sister. Very nuclear family. You know what I'm saying? But you know, this is interesting because I feel like this kind of goes both ways. I feel like because I think his admiration for Chinatsu is really kind of like the precipice and really the main point of this episode, but it ends up being like her admiration for how he speaks about her or speaks about like winning that ends up winning her over a little bit. And I don't know if at this point she's like, I mess with him, but it's definitely like, you can see the exchange of like admiration here. And, you know, it builds up throughout the episode, especially when he thinks that she's about to leave and they play 1-on-1 and she completely smokes him, I guess.
No, I think it's, you know, I think going back to the admiration thing, I think it's cool because you got I think it's cool because they have 2 different sports, 2 different outlooks on why they play their sport. And, but they're kind of shooting for the same goal. And I think, you know, for her, it's kind of like, yeah, I played this team sport, but it's like all the spotlight's on me, you know? So it's like, you know, she has that pressure to deal with. And Ritaki's like, man, listen, I only play this sport because I can't play with a team. I need the pressure on me, you know? And so it's like, yeah, it's cool to see the dynamic between them 2. Also, the fucking camera shots. Like how they're like, you know, like the first person outlook when they went into the gym and they were doing they were expanding out when all the kids were playing in the gym and all the practices were going on and they're like going through the gym and then you're expanding out that you see how big the actual like sports center actually is. Like that shit was so tight.
It was, listen, this is beautifully animated. It really is.
So like it's amazing. I hope this doesn't have a second episode drop off.
Nah, I don't think it will because it's Netflix. And they're just like, we'll pay for it. But this is beautifully animated. I love there's introduction of like small characters in it, like Taiki's best friend Kyo, who's very like observant, sarcastic, etc., etc. Then we have Hina, who is kind of like the opposite of Chinatsu, kind of like from the perspective of Taiki. Like he sees her as just like this kind of like annoying little thing. They're both in the same grade. Eventually we learn that, you know, she starts crushing on the kid, but like he has a crush on somebody else. So it's like, how is that going to kind of like navigate? To me, one of the best things about this series also, is how tight the cast is. It's not, there's a couple people where even in the manga right now, I'm like, what the fuck is this again? But it isn't too many people to like navigate around. You get the perspectives about maybe like 4 people throughout this entire show. And it's just like, to me, this is like feel good. I'm interested when the dub is coming out because I thought the dub would be, I was like, Netflix, come on, the dub. Like, you gotta add a dub ready. Because I want to know who's going to play who. But, you know, I'll also watch the sub. I like Blue Box. I think Blue Box is amazing. I think Blue Box is like this great. It's very, compared to a typical shonen, this is a great departure, but then it also, you see yourself in it. It has great kind of like rules and great rules and kind of like, great morals and shit like that and all the other stuff like that. It's like Boy Meets World, but like less kind of like corny, less ABC family.
I definitely say between the between everything that's came out, Blue Box has been my favorite first episode watch.
I agree. I think, and this is someone who's watched it 2-3 times already because I'm preparing for this thing, as if I didn't read it and know what the fuck is going on in the show.
I think that's the hardest part about watching anime when you have read it, is that I know what the story is. I'm really only watching this to see kind of like it come alive. Like I'm watching this to see like art thing. Like I'm watching it because I want to see it all in motion now.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like I'm not watching this with the story in mind. Like it's hard for me to be like, oh, the first episode in this story and that, like, because it's just like I know what happens. Like I've been reading this, I know how this is gonna go. I know how the story's gonna be. Like now I'm ready to watch this like come alive. I want to see like I can't wait to see the characters interact. Like like seeing certain moments. Like man, listen, when Blank,
this is our spy family for the year for sure.
Yeah, when Blank tells Blank, I can't wait to see Blank's expression during that moment. Like seeing that moment come alive is going to be crazy. So
it's going to be something.
Yeah, so like I think that's I think that is what I am going for. And also too, this is going to scratch the sports anime itch I've been wanting for a little bit, of just like they do, like the sports aspect still plays a pretty big role throughout this.
No, absolutely.
There's some matches that I can't wait to see, especially like when we start getting in tournaments and stuff like that. Like there are some moments I can't wait to see happen in this. Like I said, Blue Box for sure right now is number one on my list in terms of what I'm most excited to watch right now.
I agree. I fully agree. More so than Dandadan. I say more so than Dandadan because I have no idea what happens in Dandadan.
Dandadan's going to be a fun watch for sure. And like I said, another one where I'm just like, I can't wait to see some certain moments come alive. But I think even when reading, I thoroughly enjoy just the story of Blue Box more than Dandadan. I enjoy Blue Box a lot. Like I know we were talking about like who's the next one to hold SJ down, and Sakamoto Days I feel is a clear winner. But I think that Blue Box, if we're going to talk about like real story and I think Blue Box is the best thing they have right now.
I think what happens now, because these manga have now got anime adaptations, you'll see that it becomes a lot more popular in the conversation. So I expect Blue Box conversations to be, Blue Box conversations online really just don't happen. Because it's not like a very social thing series where it's like battle things. There's no like animation moments, you know what I'm saying? Unless someone like hits a ball and then they like animate it crazy, like you throwing it through a mountain or some shit like that. But there's nothing crazy that's going to be like a social media moment, but I think it is a good story. I think Dandadan is going to get most of that, but I think when Sakamoto Days comes out, which is also on Netflix, and given how many moments that show has, I think that'll become a much more social moment, which in turn will make the series more popular, which in turn will sell more manga, which in turn will make the anime more popular, and the big cyclical capitalism cycle continues. This has been great.
Also, lost in this shuffle.
What's up?
Ranma is getting reanimated and everything, and that first episode is really good. It looks really great. So
Ranma?
Yeah.
What is that?
Say Ranma. I want to say Ranma half but I've never known how to pronounce it, or 1 out of 2. I don't know.
Oh,
but
well,
yeah, it was once a classic anime. It's already been done. All they're doing is reanimating it. But first episode just looked really, really good.
Absolutely. And Bleach is back. If you love Bleach and love continued parts of this, is it ending? Like, is this the final part, or is
I don't know at this point. I don't know. I
haven't watched. You're just not watching. You're not watching Bleach.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Next week, ladies.
My new goal in life
is just not to watch Bleach.
Not just to watch Bleach, but I'm just gonna stop commenting on things where I'm already just like, hey, not my.
I'm not a fan of them.
Not a fan. There's no reason for me to.
No.
Certain things, I'm just like, listen, it don't even deserve my hate.
No, for sure. with that said, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be covering the premiere of Dragon Ball Daima. It will premiere on Crunchyroll on October 11th, which means it is premiering on Crunchyroll this upcoming Friday. It will premiere on Netflix following that on October 18th. So Crunchyroll gets the week before premiere, before Netflix. So maybe they struck a deal somehow. Like, listen, we're not gonna do this bullshit that we just did with Dandadan. Fuck out of here. This is Dragon Ball. So next week when we watch it on Crunchyroll, we will be talking about it. And it's just great to be able to talk about Dragon Ball again, like a new Dragon Ball series. Interested to see where this plot is going, interested to see how the show is formatted, interested to see kind of like how everything is going to go with Dragon Ball Daima. So make sure you guys tune into that next week. Until then, catch up on Death Note if you haven't already. If you haven't watched it, please tap in. Let us know how you enjoy it or don't enjoy it. If you have watched it, let us know what your favorite moments are. And then when we get to our recap thing, we can kind of like talk or indulge about it a little bit. But thank you guys, of course, for listening to The Lookout. Of course, you can listen to this episode. You can listen to Plug and Play as they're continuing to cover Dragon Ball up to the release of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which should be impacting very, very soon. So make sure that you guys tap into that. And I'm sure Jay and AD will be playing it and streaming it and twitching it and all the other shit like that. So, yeah. Make sure you tune into that. Make sure you follow The Lookout at The Lookout on RNC Radio, anywhere you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Make sure that you guys subscribe to The Lookout. Not subscribe. Follow The Lookout on Instagram, on Twitter, and that's pretty much it. Any final words, LJ, before we head out of here? Go Liberty. How about that?
Yeah, go Liberty. Oh, yeah. Yankees are in the goddamn playoffs right now. One game.
New York is back, baby. New York is back.
So back.
We got Cat too? Come on now.
Listen, what? The Minnesota-New York connection, it just grows. It grows and it becomes stronger and better.
We need to get the Dragon Balls and wish back Pop Smoke, because Pop Smoke needs to be here for this New York resurgence moment. And it's a damn shame.
He's the start. He's the beginning. He's the epicenter of everything that happens. I love that. He's the true beginning of the resurgence. But no. Yeah, Yankees are in the playoffs. Game won. Game 2 will be tomorrow. And yeah, so my nerves are going to be bad until the end of March.
Listen. You'll be all right. We'll be all right. It's going to be a great playoff run for these people. We need another one. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm trying to listen, y'all been due.
Back-to-back parades. Oh, that's what I'm trying to think. Liberty and Yankees. Just back-to-back. Shut down the city.
Football, y'all's fried. Yeah, I think y'all give up on the football season.
Well, yeah.
Football season, y'all's fried. I mean, unless y'all want to, I don't know if the Bills is just a Buffalo thing. Well, if y'all want to bandwagon and jump
New York,
back,
upstate New York is not
hey. So, but other than that, I
don't claim them.
The Knicks will be back soon.
Eric Adams will be out of office, hopefully, and New York is back, ladies and gents. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for subscribing to The Lookout. Don't meet us there, beat us there. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.